Good day and welcome to the Petronet LNG Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Yes Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nitin Tiwari from Yes Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Faizan. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Yes Securities, I welcome everyone to Petronet LNG second quarter earnings call. From Petronet LNG, we have the pleasure of having with us today Sri V.K. Mishra, Director of Finance, Sri Rakesh Chawla, DGM and President Finance, Sri G.K. Sharma, CGM Marketing, Sri Devbrata Satpathy, GM Finance, Sri Vivek Mittal, GM Marketing, and Sri Ashwani Agarwal, Manager Finance. I will now hand over the floor to Petronet LNG's management for their opening remarks, which shall be followed by a Q&A session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. I am V.K. Mishra, Director of Finance. Basically, during the quarter ended 30th September 2021, the Dahej terminal has processed almost 225 TBTU as against 194 TBTU in the previous quarter and 243 TBTU in the corresponding quarter. And the overall performance has been 240 TBTU including the Dahej and Kochi terminal as against 209 in the previous quarter and 254 in the corresponding quarter. As far as the first half is concerned, if you look at the performance has been very good, and we have been able to process 449 TBTU in both the plants as against 444 TBTU in the previous year's first half. So this is how we have performed volume-wise, and if you look at the financial performance, it has been PBT has been 1105 crores as against 851 crore in the previous quarter and 1243 crore in the corresponding quarter. And PAT has been 823 crore in the current quarter as against 636 crore in the previous quarter and 927 crore in the corresponding quarter. If you look at the half-yearly financial performance also, so this first half PBT has been 1,957 crore as against 1,939 crore in the corresponding first half of previous year. And PAT has been 1,459 crore in the current first half, and last year it has been 1,448 crore. So this is how we have performed. Apart from that, Board of Directors has also declared a special interim dividend of rupees 7 per share. If you look at the performance-wise, the profit for the first half PBT has been highest ever in current half as compared to H1 of 2021-22, and the growth in volume throughput in the current quarter over the previous quarter is 15%. And the PBT in the current quarter over previous quarter has been higher by 30% and PAT by 29%. So this is all financial and physical highlights, and now floor is open for the question.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one at this time. The first question is from the line of Prabal Sen from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I have two questions. One was, given the kind of price movement one has seen in October and persisting in November, any outlook you can give for H2 volume outlook or capacity utilization? I understand that you have firm contracts for about a majority of the capacity, But do you see a situation where, at least for the third-party regas contracts, some of the off-takers might defer the volumes to the extent allowed by their take-or-pay limits, at least to the next financial year? That was my first question.
Right. So first question raised is regarding the market scenario where prices are exorbitantly high. Absolutely correct. I fully agree with you. This has in fact discouraged the people to bring spot cargoes to India. But at the same time, if you look at our performance, we have been able to perform almost 99% at that age. So if you compare with previous quarter, it was only 86% capacity utilization.
Right.
So it is less than corresponding quarter, no doubt. But still, we are able to exhibit our performance on the strength of the long-term contract we are having, and perhaps that is a major reason that we are able to do this kind of performance in this quarter. But if you look at the future outlook, it's definitely not very good in the sense that prices are still very high, and winter has already set in, and now perhaps demand will further increase in European, Japan, and China. So they are also just trying to store the inventory, taking more cargoes. So they are taking it for winter. But after winter season, I hope that price will further come down. And it's not the normal level. It's a very unsustainable price because at this price, LNG consumption cannot be enhanced. So this is one of the factors I think that which is more optimistic for me is that it is not going to stay for a long time because this price is not sustainable. At least in India, then people will prefer to go for alternate fuels in place of LNG if this price scenario will continue. Perhaps the only solace we have is the long-term contract India has. So that part is good. That gas is costing at around $10-$50 per MMBTU. So that is a good part that we are not impacted by this spot prices. But that it is also true that more cargoes which could have come had the price been in the range of $5, $6, $8, $9, $10. Perhaps more cargoes would have come to India. But that is not possible. Only a very minimal number of cargoes are coming as far as the spot cargoes are concerned. But long-term contracts are definitely a great rescue, you can say, in this scenario. So I think it's a matter of this winter season only that it will continue. But after that, prices will definitely be tepid and it will come down. And perhaps then we can say that market will be normalized. Because what I foresee is that there is plenty of LNG available in the market. But only thing there are certain factors which have contributed to this kind of price rise. So one of the factors is very clear that European countries have not been able to store more inventory for the winter season, and perhaps China and Japan also trying to store more LNG for the winter season for heating purposes. So that is one of the factors, and another factor is the restricted supply from Russia to European region. So that is forcing the European nations to bring LNG in place of piped natural gas which they were earlier getting from Russia. So these are some of the factors which have contributed to this kind of price rise. But we hope that this all things will normalize after winter season, and perhaps then price will be more stable in the range of maybe $6 to $10. So then we will have more spot cargoes in India.
So, got it, sir. If I can try and sum up my understanding, basically we are looking at a slightly tougher Q3 given the winter season and the constraints, but hopefully by the second half of Q4 things should start to look up. Is there a fair way to look at it?
I think we will try to do our level best. We are trying to adopt all kinds of strategies to just enhance the profitability. And perhaps because of very significant rise in this LNG prices, look at this was never anticipated. We have always witnessed the price rise up to say $18 to $20 in last 5 to 10 years. So it was never even imagined that this kind of price rise, which will go up to $56 per MMBTU, And now it is also, even today, it is around $28 to $30 if you look at the West India market and JKM. So this is a kind of price which is not sustainable. If you look at the slope with this kind of crude, which is normally gas is based on, you'll find that the $30 means that almost if $80 is the crude price, then it is almost, I think, 45% of the slope. So which is very high. Normally the slope remains in the range of $10 to $14. But if you look at the rise in the LNG prices, disproportionate as compared to the rise in crude prices.
Absolutely.
It's causing a major concern because the slope is going to 40%, then it's better that others will switch over to different fuels. So this is why I'm saying that this is not sustainable price. Normally, it should be priced less than 18% of slope whenever we compare with crude. And it should be in that range only, not more than that. But it is going up to 40% of the current crude oil prices. So that's what is more worrying. But as I have already indicated, that there are certain reasons, geopolitical issues, which are causing this kind of price rise in LNG prices. So I think this will be stabilized by end of March. So by that time, I think we should hope that it will be more stable and it will be affordable for India.
Right, sir. Got it, sir. That's very helpful. And the second question I had was with respect to the capex plans. Obviously, for the last few quarters, you have been highlighting a couple of things. The Dahej expansion that is there on track, the LNG retail plans, as well as some of the other plans. So if you can just give us a small update, whatever you can share, on the capital allocation plans for the next couple of years, sir.
Right. So basically, first of all, I would like to inform you that we have already placed an order for construction of 2 LNG tanks at Dahej, and the kickoff meeting has also been concluded, and now it is almost about to start project work. So this 1,200 crore capex will be there, and perhaps the time period for completion of these tanks is 40 months from now. And another project which is coming up very quickly is the construction of jetty, whereby we expect total capex of around 1,700 crores, and that is also underway. It is under process of approval. We have already got the consultant to just estimate the cost of that jetty, and we will be going very shortly to the board for approval. So these are 2 projects which are being expedited, and perhaps thereafter we have plans to expand our Dahej terminal from 17.5 to 20 MMTPA, and the second phase from 20 to 22.5 MMTPA. The first phase will be costing very less because it will be only requiring some debottlenecking, and perhaps we'll be able to get 2.5 MMTPA additional by spending hardly 200 to 250 crores. And thereafter, if you look at second expansion plan, that will be costing us around 700 to 800 crores. So that is how we are planning to do, and perhaps these all 2 expansions will be taking almost 3 years period from now. So these are our Dahej expansion plan. And then if you look at our other projects, one, we have very ambitious project at East Coast Terminal. So that part is also taking place. We are in discussion with the authorities, and perhaps that is an ambitious plan that we want to have one terminal, initially FSRU-based terminal of 3 to 4 MMTPA, and its capex will be almost 1,500 to 2,000 crore in between. I think 1,900 crore is the total capex on that.
Okay.
So this is how we are doing for this terminal. And apart from that, we are also having certain plan to have some LNG stations in association with various off-takers, ONCs as well as CGD companies. So we plan to have that, and perhaps we have already placed an order for 5 LNG stations, which we are putting up with IOCL ONC, one of the ONC, and more will come in future. but it will be in stage wise. It will be in phase manner, and perhaps it will not come as in a single day. But of course, we have planned to have more stations, and perhaps it may go up to maybe 100, 200 also. But it will be only in a phased manner as per the requirement and availability of the opportunity on the highways. So this is how we are planning in that particular section. And one LNG station costs us around 8 to 10 crores. So it's not a very high intensive capital expenditure project. But of course, it will come in a phased manner. So slowly we'll be moving in this direction. So this is how we are going in LNG stations plan. And apart from that, we have in future we have planned that Kochi terminal utilization should also increase. So perhaps for that we are asking GAIL to expedite their pipeline up to Bangalore, so that we can perhaps supply more gas and utilize our plant in a better manner, which is being utilized at present at 22% capacity. And perhaps we hope that it should reach to 35% very shortly, but only problem has been the prices of gas. So people are little bit hesitant to take gas at this price, which is currently going in the spot market. So that's why capacity is little bit at 22%. But of course, as the prices will be stabilizing in future, perhaps this will go up to 30 to 35% of the capacity utilization. Yeah. So this is how our capex plan is there.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for giving such a detailed answer. This is extremely useful. I'll come back if I have more questions. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pinakin Parekh from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I have two questions. First is just to probe more on the demand outlook, and especially just on Q3 and Q4 basis. Historically, 2Q seasonally is a strong volume quarter, and the second half volumes fall from the 2Q levels. So do you expect a similar trend in the second half, that we see volumes falling sharply from 240 TBTUs, or in your view, this is at least the base level volumes that Petronet should be able to do in the December and March quarters?
See, it's like this. I have already told you that spot cargoes will be very little, but one light of hope is there that we have requested RasGas to deliver us 46 cargoes additionally. But let us see what happens in that case. We will request RasGas to enhance the supply under long-term contract, if possible, so that we can have more cargoes under long-term contract.
Sure, sir. So just to probe that further, is there any progress from RasGas in terms of them delivering those volumes, especially the deferred volumes of the previous years? Do you expect them to, have they committed to delivering in this financial year?
It's not possible. I think marketing, Mr. Vivek is there. He will explain.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, as sir mentioned, we are in discussion with Qatar, but at this point of time, being contract sensitive, we will not be able to divulge too much. Let's see how the discussions progress. And also, one must acknowledge that during the Q2, which was from July to September, the whole terminal was closed. So that's the reason typically every year Q2 is higher compared to the rest of the quarter. So this may not be the case going forward. But in terms of capacity holders also, many of our capacity holders like GAIL and some quantity IOC and GSPC have their long-term contracts. This volume continue to flow in under the regas contract. And of course, there are certain flexibilities in the regas contract, so which of course, if anybody is wishing to avail, they can avail it. So we will remain within the contractual boundaries.
So, and lastly, just to understand, how much of your volumes, the flexibility was availed in the September quarter, basically where they don't have to pay take or pay and that can be deferred? What percentage of your contracts was the customers availed that in the September quarter?
It's not quarter on quarter, it's an annual basis. So at the end of the year only we will be able to give you those numbers.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of S. Ramesh from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, good afternoon and thank you very much. So you have given some details on the spot cargoes you handle in Dahej, that 6 cargoes. So can you share with us what is the average price of the spot cargoes and which are the end-use segments which use this spot cargo?
Just we couldn't understand what you were talking. 6 cargo means what?
So you have handled 6 TBTU of spot cargoes in Dahej as per the volume details shared.
Okay, fine. This is basically we are procuring some cargoes for ONGC, and for that purpose we have procured some cargoes. So only that thing is there. So normally ONGC is asking us to procure these cargoes. So of course these number I think is hardly, it is 2 cargoes are there. So 2 cargoes we have procured for ONGC. So it is on back-to-back basis. They require it for their petrochemical plant. So that's the only thing we have been able to procure. But at this kind of prices, it has been a very difficult decision to even buy these 2 cargoes. But there was a requirement, so we had to buy. But we have bought it, definitely. You are rightly saying 6 TBTU means 2 cargo almost we have bought it.
So the second thought is, can you share with us the number of cargoes or TBTU diverted from Kochi on the Gorgon contract, the diversion from Kochi to Dahej?
That's 10 TBT, about almost 11 TBT.
11 TBTU. And this trend will continue in the second half also, given that Kochi utilization is still about 22%.
Targeting
This is for half year. 10 TBT is for half year. Half year is for half year. For a quarter it is 4.90 or 5 TBT. And that's likely to be.
Okay. So can you share with us the contribution from regas margins included in the gross contribution for this quarter?
The cooling and other services revenue is 619 crores.
619 crores.
619.
Okay. So finally, a broader question now. If you're looking at the current constraints in LNG capacity and global demand, is there a reason to revisit the kind of discussions you are having with Tellurian to tie up equity LNG? And is there any discussion at the board level to look at additional tie-up of LNG through investing in a liquefaction plant? Any thoughts on that?
No. There is no plan to go right now for this kind of investment, and perhaps nothing is on cards. Tellurian part is already disclosed earlier, and that MOU has already expired, so there is no further talks on that. And you are talking about investment in liquefaction terminal. Nothing is there right now, so there is no comment. And because LNG otherwise is available in the free market, there is no additional benefit after investment. So, and this is not the right time to go for the investment in these terminals. So right now there is no plan, but in future if there is any, we will certainly discuss with you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll join the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Amit Rustagi from UBS. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, could you give us any update on the Kochi terminal tariff? I know you have mentioned in the notes to accounts, but any progress on that?
Kochi terminal tariff.
Tariffs, yeah, renegotiation.
Yeah. It is there because we have disclosed in accounts also that we are in talks with the off-takers to increase the utilization of Kochi terminal. So we have asked them to commit more volumes to that terminal. And based on that only, we will revise the tariff on the lower side. But This is under discussion. It has not been confirmed by them how much they will do. So if they do it, then certainly in long run we shall be benefited, and then we can think of reducing the tariff also. So that is under discussion. So right now we cannot disclose more about that. But that is true that we are in discussion with them to commit more volume in Kochi.
Okay. And sir, my second question relates to, could you explain us lease accounting impact in this quarter? And there is a notes to accounts, again, point 4. The company has invoiced, 198 crores. So can you explain that what is the real impact of this in the current quarter?
Second part I can explain. First part my colleague will explain on that. So this basically there has been an agreement with one of the customers, and we have said that we'll adjust around 65 crores because they have committed volume in Dahej terminal, Kochi terminal in place of Dahej. So we have considered that somehow we have got the revenue. So there is no loss as such, because had those cargo been brought to Dahej terminal, we would not have levied any user pay charges. So we have considered their cargo at Kochi as it has come to Dahej. So basically this is over and above the committed volume for Gorgon, because Gorgon commitment is already there. Apart from that, if because they had brought some spot cargoes there, so we have considered that as part of utilization of Dahej capacity, because ultimately our Kochi terminal is already underutilized. So somehow we have got the revenues whether at Dahej or Kochi. So that part we have considered, and that's why we have adjusted that part, 65 crore, from the total outstanding, because they have given us the revenue at Kochi in place of Dahej.
Okay, so 65 crore has been booked additionally in this quarter.
Pardon?
65 crore has been booked in this quarter as revenue.
This quarter we have booked, yeah. So this is additionally we have booked.
Okay, sir. And the lease accounting impact?
Lease,
as far as the lease accounting is concerned, there is 137 crores gross margin level positive. Then there is 4 crores of gain, forex gain, and 7 crores at the level of operational expenses gain. Then depreciation 85 crores negative, and finance cost 77 crores negative. So net impact is 14 crores negative at the profit before tax level.
Okay, sir. Got it, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for answering the question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Varatharajan Sivasankaran from Antique Limited. Please go ahead.
So, just want to understand if there was any inventory gain last quarter.
Please repeat your question. We couldn't hear it.
Any inventory gain last quarter, sir?
Inventory gain.
Inventory gain is 28 crores.
28.
For the current quarter.
28 crores. Secondly, on the capex program, you were mentioning about the details. So you mentioned the first phase is going to cost only 200-250 crores, and the second expansion of around 700 to 800 crores. On the other hand, you mentioned 1,200 crores of 2 tanks plus 1,700 crores of jetty. So I just wanted to understand how these numbers break down between phase 1 and phase 2.
See, it's not a phase 1 or phase 2 means that still we can process 20 MMTPA with only 6 tanks being in place. But still we want 2 more tanks because we will require it when we do the expansion from 20 to 22 and a half. So that part we need some flexibility, but otherwise there are certain debottlenecking issues are there which can be done, and that's why the capex is very low while expanding from 17.5 to 20 MMTPA. But for that part, then we will do for 20 and 20 and a half, 22 and a half, there we require some higher capex. Because even from expansion from 15 to 17.5 MMTPA, we have spent almost 420 crores. So that part is there. Of course, certain modifications are required. So we have estimated those size. That's what we are doing. The total capex will be in this expansion 1,000 crore almost. You can say 2.5, 500 crore each.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kirtan Mehta from BOB Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. Would you be able to give us some color on what is the mix of the long-term versus spot cargoes in the regas, the volumes that you book out for the regas services?
You want the ratio?
Yeah.
It's this quarter you want, then we have actually got it here, and perhaps it's 116 versus spot is only 70 BTU. But the long-term, cargoes which have come and the service cargoes which have come, almost 233 TBTU, as against 7 TBTU of spot and short-term cargo. So ratio-wise, it is very less, not very significant, and reason is very obvious that prices are significantly high. At this price, the consumption is very low for spot and short-term gas. So long-term volume, of course, is higher in this quarter.
I'm sorry. Actually, I was asking that you bring the you basically break the cargoes in 3: long-term, spot, and the third party, which brings in only for the regas tariff purpose.
Service cargo.
Yeah. So within the third category of third party regas tariff, what would be sort of the breakup between the long-term volumes and the spot volumes?
We don't know that because it's up to third parties how they source their LNG. So we don't get into whether they are sourcing on long-term basis or spot short-term basis.
Is there any rough estimate, very broad
There
estimate?
is only capacity booking is already there. We know it very well. That around GAIL has booked 2.5 MMTPA in our terminal, Dahej.
So
And
what we are asking is out of 117 TBTU,
how much? No, I am just saying there is a commitment from their side, which is a long-term contract for service also, that they will bring 2.5 MMTPA of cargoes, and that cargo will constitute almost 40 cargoes, you can say, from GAIL in a year, and 1 MMTPA BPCL, 16 cargo, IOCL maybe 24 cargoes. So this is how they have to bring as per the contractual obligation. But how much they bring actual, it's up to them. Whether they bring it through a spot, they bring it through their long-term portfolio, so this is up to them. They have booked the capacity in our terminal, so they are utilizing that capacity in whatever manner they bring the cargo.
Understood, sir. Thank you. Just one more clarification on one of the previously about you said that you booked additional revenue of 65 crore this quarter as you recognize the revenue on the Kochi terminal. So this is the additional revenue booked, and it's not really a reversal of the previously booked revenue, correct? Hello, are you able to hear me?
This is the operator. We are not able to hear the management audio.
Yeah, please, just I want to, you are asking about 65 crores.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically, I will give you the detail here that it has been outstanding amount since last year actually. So it has been there, and perhaps there was a request from their side that you consider that because ultimately they have brought the cargoes. So we consider that request this year. It's pertaining to almost 2020.
This amount you can see in the other expenses. The other expenses of 200 crore include these 65 crores. This is actually in the cost side, not in the revenue side if you are asking for.
Yeah, it's not, the revenue was already booked in earlier years.
Right. So it has the earlier booked revenue has been reversed this quarter as you have waived off this revenue.
That we have got the revenue ultimately from Kochi terminal in place of Dahej. So we have considered their request, and that's why we have adjusted this year. So there is no additional revenue booked on this account this year.
Understood, sir. Thank you. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vidyadhar Shinde from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. In the last earnings call, when I had asked you, you had stated that you were expecting about 16.5 million tons of volumes in the Dahej. So after first half is over, do you still expect that number to be 16.5, or could it be lower or higher? Where some hope of higher was coming is that Q2 annualized number looks like more like 18 million tons. So was it because of the off-takers picking when spot LNG was relatively cheaper, they have picked up more cargoes? Was that the reason? And are you still expecting 16.5 million tons in FY22?
Yeah, we are always hopeful, because if you look at the first half, I have just informed you, we have already processed 449 TBTU in this first half. If you look at the performance, it will continue in this range. We will reach almost 900 TBTU. So it's always going to be there, not less than 16.5, I think, if it goes in the same manner. Maybe slightly it may be less, but we expect that it should reach that level, because the long-term contracts are very much in demand. So all the cargoes are coming in time and all are taking it. So there is no default in that. There is no postponement of those cargoes. So that part is going on, so that is a good thing. And perhaps because on the strength of that long-term contract, we shall be able, because we have in the first quarter itself, we have done good job, and perhaps we have processed almost 190 TBTU, 94 TBTU, even though there was a lot of impact of lockdown and other things. So we hope that the situation remains normal like it is now. Perhaps consumption will continue to increase. Only dampening part is the price rise in this spot LNG. So that is not helping in bringing more spot cargoes in India. But long-term contract will continue. So perhaps we hope that we have already done 449 TBTU in the first half. Perhaps we will be able to do it in second half also, almost similar performance.
Okay, so are you basically saying 16.5 or worst case slightly lower?
You see, if you look at 16.5, I'm telling you the exact total amount which is going to be there, because if you look at 17.5, so it means that almost it will be in the range of I think 51 is there. It should be 17.5 means we should process almost 892.5 MMTPA, TBTU. 892. And now I'm telling you 449 we are already done. So it means if we do 400, even 450 we do, it will reach 900.
Okay.
So that means it will be almost 17.5. We will leave apart this 16.5. 16.5 means, you are saying 16.5, that means it should be in the range of 841 TBTU, which we certainly will achieve. Because we need to process only 400 more.
Okay.
Less than 400.
Okay. My other question was regarding this backlog of volumes which you are trying to get from RasGas. Just wanted to find out, if this volume comes in, is it more likely in calendar 22 or FY23 and not really in the current calendar or financial year?
It's all question we cannot answer now, and it's all premature. Let us see what happens. But one thing which has already been in the public domain, that we are trying that, and perhaps as and when there will be any development on that, we will let you know. Then nothing can be predicted right now, because all will hamper the process. So we will not disclose anything, which is what is going on and what is the process, how it will happen. It's all premature. It is only a request. They may or may not agree.
Okay. Lastly, on the 65 crore, which I'm somewhat confused, is it actually just a prior period expenditure in this quarter and not really an income?
Which one?
The 65 crore which you recognize. My initial understanding after you first answered was that it was a prior period income. Now you seem to suggest that the income.
Prior period income, it's basically, you can see, it's In fact, booked in use of pay charges, which is an income in the previous year. So it is already booked there, and accordingly that has been considered this year. So you can say that earlier income has been reversed.
Okay, so you are actually reversing this quarter.
Yeah, it is a reversal only.
Actually, provision has been created against the prior period, against income booked in the prior period.
Okay. Okay, so actually, if you are to focus on the current quarter, your expenditure actually got bloated by 65 crores.
Yes.
Actually, to that extent, the profit is higher.
Yeah. Yes.
And had this not been there, profit would have been even higher.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Avadut Sabnis from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So going a bit more again on the same Kochi tariff issue. Okay. What I'm trying to understand, 2-3 things. When you're saying it's related to committing additional volumes, it is additional volumes only at Kochi, right? So if somebody comes back saying, I'll give you additional volumes at Dahej, that is not will be acceptable to you.
No, that is not acceptable. And that will be also a use or pay type of contract. It's not that you simply say, I will bring and then don't bring it. Okay. It will be a contract use or pay. So either they have to commit, that means in case they are not able to bring it, then they have to pay it.
Secondly, sir, on the suppose whatever they come back and saying, okay, we'll take additional 1 million ton or use of pay, and accordingly the tariff has to be revised down. Okay, whatever may be the revision, whether it's 10%, 20%, will it be with retrospective effect from 1st of April 2019?
Regarding the regas charges you are asking, na, from the Kochi?
Yes.
Yeah. The understanding is that you see, when the volumes are committed, our objective is to get the volumes committed, and the price and the tariff is taken a view over a period of, in our pricing model, over a period of till the end of this terminal, till 2039. So over that period of time, the tariff calculation reduction will start from 1st of April 2019. So that is not a problem for PLL as a company. Our objective is to get the volumes, booked in the Kochi terminal so that the utilization of the terminal goes up.
And any broad guidance on what would be the level of the drop in the tariffs?
No, we cannot predict that now because it is all, until something happens, we cannot disclose all those things. But certainly, if it happens, it will come to your knowledge also. But if they don't commit, then there is no reason why they will not be paying at whatever level we are now at 79 rupees. So they will continue that, which has gone up to 87 now. It was in 2019, it was 79, but now it is 87 rupees.
So firstly, we see no risk at all. I mean, if they don't commit to additional volumes, you don't see risk.
They will pay. Yes, they have to pay as per contract.
Okay, so there is no risk on the existing tariff?
No, there is no risk unless there is a commitment.
Okay. Second question was in relation to the take or pay. Okay, there was 198 crores, as I said, which are invoiced, and I assume out of that 198 crores, 65 crores has been reversed. Right, so out of 3 customers, you have arrived at the settlement with 1 customer. Am I understanding right?
Right.
So what happens to the other 2 customers? I mean, in the earlier quarter, I think there was a assurance given in terms of those notes that you don't see any negative impact at all on the financials as a result of the dispute, whereas we already seen one negative impact in this particular quarter. Do you see a further negative impact potential going forward? I mean, can you give us some clarity on that?
See, without getting into more details on this, because discussions are still going on, this is only a provision created. After the finalization, it will only be done. The thing is that this is the major item actually, within that 190.
No, it's all will be recovered. I'm telling you, there is no chance that it will not be recovered. All will be recovered apart from this. Because if you look at 210 crore was there on 198 crore. So out of that, some amount has already been paid. Almost 54 crore has been paid. So balance, if you look at, it remains only to the extent of 71 crore. So that will be paid. This is only just because of this that we have agreed to it, that unless until balance amount is paid, we will not, in fact, agree to this kind of adjustment. So I think there is nothing on risk out of that 198 crore. So perhaps we are hopeful that that will be paid because 54 crore has already been paid out of that.
If I may ask, the people who have paid the 54 crores, they are the customers who have not, I mean, there are three customers, right? So the person who has agreed for the 65 crore settlement, is it the same party who has already paid part of the 54 crores?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same party.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. My first question is again on Kochi. While you said the tariff is 87, how much are the customers actually paying currently? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
So I think you are asking that how much customers are paying.
Yes. So you're billing them 87 rupees, but how much?
This part we would not like to disclose, but this is correct that they are not paying what we are demanding. So perhaps because things are under discussion, so they will pay it otherwise. Because all our customers are these Maharatna companies, so they have no problem in paying it. The only thing is that they have to take the approval from their board and for committing more volume, because they are interested in committing more volume. So they want that they should commit some volume to PLL and get some benefit from price reduction in tariff. So that's why they are not paying, but of course they will pay whatever outstanding.
So in your almost 2,000 crores of trade receivables, how much amount would that be attributable to the difference?
How much you are saying? 2,000?
Yeah, 2,000 crore of receivables.
This is the current tariff. It is.
Yeah. Right now, basically, as it has been told, that since all discussions are going on and as on the verge of finalization, all these numbers we will not be able to disclose right now. And if there is any disclosure to be done, we will do that in the next financial results.
Okay, understood. My second question is on the regas volume from the service part. So this time in Dahej you did 117 TBTU. Same quarter last year you did 135, and in Q2 FY20 you did 126. So the loss of volume, do you expect to be made up in the subsequent quarters?
We should hope, but because of the current scenario, it is becoming very challenging. But still we hope that if they will not bring the cargoes, we will levy this use of pay charges on them as per the contract.
Okay, so they will have to still pay attributable charges.
That's the contract, that they have to pay if they don't use it.
Understood. That's very helpful. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikas Jain from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my questions. Can I understand this adjustment little bit better? So you have already booked this revenue, this one-off that we are talking about, in the earlier quarters or years or whatever, that is this about 198 crores or so. And so essentially, then the 65 crore adjustment that you're making, the 65 crore has been written back, in terms of provision has been made, and it has also been added to revenue, right?
It has been added in the past period, not in this current quarter.
So if it has been added in the past period, why will you? I'm talking about the 65 crore recovery that you are getting. So why will
we have booked revenue in earlier period, maybe in 2020, I think it has been done.
Correct.
But now we have adjusted that part here. So it's only the provision we have made in this part There is no corresponding revenue in this quarter to this.
No, sir, but why will there be any impact on the income statement? Is it because the impact will only be on the balance sheet, right? Because now the current the receivable will go away, right?
I think you have correctly understood. The only thing I want to convey you that this has been adjusted out of the total due from the debtors, you can say. We have made a provision because we have booked that revenue in the earlier period. So that part we are telling that we have done because we wanted to settle this issue. Ultimately, we have thought. And
no, so I'm not getting into that bit, sir. You have explained pretty well. So that time I'm just trying to understand the bookkeeping bit of it. So that's the bit that I wanted to check that in terms of whether it would, because I am a little uncertain why it would have any impact on the income statement, because it has already been booked. It was so far a receivable. Now that receivable has simply been converted into cash, right? So why would it have any impact on the income statement at all? Why there will be a provision or anything?
No, because what has been done is there was a income and receivable booked in the past period, say calendar year 19 and calendar year 20. Now, what has happened is this, one of the customers, he said that I have got more cargoes in Kochi over and above my contractual commitment. But since my end user is in Kerala, not in Gujarat, that's why I could not bring those cargoes in Gujarat. So, while discussion and negotiation with that customer, basically it came out that whatever over and above cargoes he had brought in Kochi, he has actually given us revenue. And that revenue should be adjusted against this, that benefit should be adjusted against this revenue that we have booked at Dahej in terms of user pay charges. So the revenue was booked in 2019 and 20, and against that a provision has been created. It is in the cost side, and you can find that the other expenses is inflated this time around 200 crores. This 65 crores of provision is in the other expenses only. So it actually hampers the income statement. And if you add this 55 crores one-off, then actually the generated profit is more than what is reported.
Okay. And as I understand, of the total volume that you bought to Dahej, you explained that 60 BTU is actually not really true sense of spot trading volume, right? I mean, because although it is shown as spot, it is where you have a back-to-back arrangement with ONGC. So there would not have been any big margin on that. Is that the correct understanding, or there would be reasonable trading and marketing gain on that?
Actually, we do not discuss because of our unique relationship with our customers. Generally, we don't discuss it in the call.
We brought 2 cargoes we have bought.
Sorry, sir?
We have bought 2 cargoes this time. We are showing here the number of cargoes being 6 TBTU we are bringing. So we have in fact brought actual cargoes from outside this time.
It has margin.
See, the way you explained, that's what I was asking.
It is, of course, with a margin. Some margin may be there, but not only regas because we are procuring it. So it will be having some trading margin also.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vishnu Kumar from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
So thanks for your time. Just a repeat of the last question. Any non-regas income that you have booked apart from the inventory gain of 28 crores, do you have any storage and offloading or any user pay that you can tell? Non-regas.
Other than regas charges you are asking?
Correct, sir.
Other than regas charges, if you look at, we have some India's impact is there as compared to previous quarter. So, and inventory valuation is there, 28 crore gain. 39 crore is towards India's impact. So these are some gains other than this regas charges, and also we have some trading margins, 123 crore.
123 crores. Sir, anything that you have as a storage and offloading? Earlier you used to mention some cargoes used to be held at Kochi and again you offloaded back.
Now it's not, and there's a reloading cargoes was there earlier, but now this is not a case. So we are not doing that part. But only revenue which has been there in this quarter, I've told you, it's an India's impact, inventory valuation, and also trading margin.
5 crores of dividend has been received.
5 crores. And investment income is total 13 crore is there. Investment income is there, of course.
And 30 crores of facility charges that we have done.
Understood, sir. Sir, any additional cargoes you source from your long-term contracts, which when you get those, if you get those, would it go to your back-to-back long-term, or would you have the flexibility to sell some of them under spot?
No, it will be a back-to-back. It cannot be a long-term. If at all it happens under long-term contract, it will be back-to-back.
Understood, sir. And one final question. Any thoughts on Qatar expansion when you're considering all the way to invest, I mean, at least when you're considering to invest in US for Tellurian and all, any thoughts of whether Qatar expansion from 77 to 100 we will participate, or in return would we get some longer term contracts at a much cheaper rate?
No, it's the investment part perhaps is not there because there is no requirement for that project they are doing on their own. The only thing we are trying that we want to extend the contract beyond 2028. So we are making all efforts to renegotiate and perhaps extend that contract. And that contract shall be extended based on the current international contract which has been entered by Qatar Gas. Like they have done a contract with Sinopec, they have done with Bangladesh and Pakistan at around 10.2% of slope. So on DES basis. So that kind of terms may be there. So I think this is the reason that we are trying to negotiate with Qatar Gas to extend the existing contract. And if it is, of course, as we have witnessed, a difficult time has been there that we are not getting long-term volume. Now it is the right time that we should have long-term contracts because you cannot rely on a spot or short-term gas. If you need a gas on a regular basis, permanent basis, you cannot rely on a spot or short-term cargo because if you rely on a spot only, then you will face this kind of situation where you are paying $30, $32. So we will try to have more gas from Qatar or anybody else so that we can increase our portfolio also, and at least we will definitely be making our effort to enhance the contract of 7.5 MMTPA. We would like to source more gas because the demand in India is likely to increase by 2030. So I think there will be more gas required from outside India, and perhaps we want that this contract will be extended. And perhaps that will be done, and that will be in terms of the current prevailing international contract which have been entered by Qatar Gas or anybody else.
Got it, sir. And one final one, sir. On the East Coast terminal, let's say if there are 4 things you need to pick off before you go for a FID, where would you be now, and what are the things that you need to get a better comfort or some understanding with some government or entities before you actually go ahead and announce a project?
We are making all demand assessment. We have already appointed a consultant. He has done the demand assessment, and perhaps demand will be there. And we are hopeful that perhaps some capacity will also be booked if possible. Maybe not to 100%, maybe 20, 30%, 30, 40%. So that will be helpful us, and balance we can market. Perhaps demand will be coming up in the eastern India because so far there has not been any pipeline in that part of India, so that's why consumption could not take off there. But now it will not happen, and perhaps more industry will be coming on that particular reason, and perhaps more gas will be consumed in that sector. And we are hopeful that while putting up the terminal, we will try to rope in the customer also, so that at least 30-40% capacity can be earmarked for that customer, and balance we can market on our own. So this is our endeavor. And let us see what happens. But there is a need for terminal on the East Coast. That we will go for.
Any indicative timeline, sir, in this particular build that you think that you may come up with a final FID plan, let's say 18 months, 24 months? You think that you can close something or it's still open?
The discussions are going on, but we have a plan to have a terminal by 2025. This is the timeline. In between, we have to finalize everything.
So backworking, even if it requires 3 years, which means somewhere next year we'll have to probably announce to get.
We'll have to, because it will take 1 or 2 years. Because this will be a FSRU-based terminal, so it will not take much time.
Got it.
Not a land-based terminal, which takes on normally 36 or 40 months. So it will take less time.
Indicative capex if you got to do this.
Indicative?
Capex if you need to get this done.
Indicative capex, I have told you around 1,800, 1,900 crores will be there.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks and all this, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Murarka from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. So just sorry to harp back on the question of the customer commitment. So in the results release, I think what is mentioned is that the customer is already off.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Murarka. We are not able to hear your audio.
We are not able to hear.
Mr. Murarka, we are not able to hear your audio clearly. Please use the handset mode. Mr. Murarka, please go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying that like in the from the results release, it does look like the notes which is given does seem that the customer is already off taking some additional volumes at Kochi, and you are therefore now looking not to pursue the take or pay with him. So is that understanding correct?
In Kochi, you are talking about?
Yeah. So the same discussion which is already happening.
Charge, I think. It's a Kochi terminal is not having a capacity booking at all. It's only that a volume of this contract from Mark, ExxonMobil, that we are taking cargoes to Kochi, but some of them are coming to even Dahej also. So Kochi, as such, I couldn't understand your question.
No. So the wording. I was just going by what is written in the notes to accounts of the results release.
Right. I will see the note account. Yeah. Please now tell me what you are saying.
Yeah, I think that the notes to account says that note number 4. It says that pending settlement on issue of take or pay based on negotiation, the customer is already like on the basis of higher volume achieved by the customer in the other contracts or location. So it says that the customer has already achieved higher volume in that location. So I was just I just wanted some clarity. That does that mean that the volume is already getting done at Kochi by the customer, or like will it be done in the future? And if it will be done in the future, is there any timeline for that take or pay commitment?
No, it has already been brought by them in that particular region, Kochi. They have brought 2 cargoes there.
Okay, so then it is already done and settled then.
Yeah. So this has been already brought by them. There is no commitment for future. That's why we have agreed. And there is no other customer who has done like this. So it is only one customer who has brought all the cargoes in place of Dahej to Kochi. There is no other customer who has brought any cargo anywhere in either of our terminals. So it is only in one case it has happened. So we have considered that.
Sure. And just one more question is on the system gas loss which happens as part of the regasification process. So, like, where are we right now on that? I mean, I remember earlier the number used to be, less than 1% or something like that.
This loss we are talking about boil off?
Yeah, boil off, yes.
Boil off is as per contract. I think there is no boil off.
You are talking of in respect of Kochi?
No, at Dahej, I meant.
It is as per contract.
Contract is there.
Okay, but would you still be able to, because for let's say the spot cargoes and all that, it could make a difference. So what would that number be as of now?
That part is not good. Oil off is something which is consumed in the process of regasification. So basically, that part is not disclosed anywhere, and also it is utilized in the system itself. It's a boil off which is being the cost for using the system, using the regas plant. So I think that part is consumed, you can say, safely.
Okay. No, I understand, but I just wanted to understand the percentage range of that boil off. Like, is it like 0.7, 0.8% or lesser than that?
I think that part.
See, that is a operational issue. I mean, we don't disclose that. But what we can disclose is as per the contract, whatever is the boil off that has been agreed with the customer, that is being charged. And we are within that range. And the consumption is within that range.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you very much, and perhaps we are happy that you have asked all your questions which you think were required, and we have always sought your cooperation. We have sought always your assistance in any matter, because after all, it's the feedback from you people only, which in fact encourages us to do even more so that we can increase the profitability. So perhaps we will continue to get the kind of cooperation you are giving. And anytime, even after not only this conference, you feel that you have some doubt or you want some clarification, you are free to talk to myself, my team members, and we'll clarify, and we'll also seek your assistance in doing something which can help us in increasing our performance, increasing the bottom line, and also increasing the efficiency of the operations. So perhaps those things help, because you people, in fact, suggest from outside, so it's more important for us to look at your suggestions also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Yes Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Thanks.